Hi and welcome back to Wappler Unwrapped. In this lesson we're going to do the first part of our securing your database tutorials. We're going to start with creating your first user. We start with create user first simply because we're going to be using encrypted passwords. So it's actually easier to create a user first before we actually then start creating the login, logout and page secure screens. Obviously, at some point, we're going to have to come back to this and secure this page itself. But I thought I'd just start at the create user end and we'll work on from there. So I've created a new table. That table is called users. And we simply have 4 fields in it. A user ID, which is an integer. It's auto increment, and we made that a key field. Name, email, and password are the basic fields that you want. We've allowed 60 characters for the name, so with a full name in there, 60 characters for an email, and password is 64 purely because we'll be using SHA-256 encryption, and that creates a 64-digit salted key. So just drag that off the screen. Let's make a start straight away. I'm going to start with the actual page first. So let's add our frameworks. Let's add in our container, row, column. So what do we need next? We need a form, of course. So I'm going to right click on here. I'm going to go into forms and I'm going to use an existing Bootstrap form that's created here, register name and email, because it just happens to have exactly the right fields that we require. It also has this little link here, already have an account. I'm going to set that up straight away. That will ultimately go into our login PHP page. We haven't created it yet, but I thought we'll just start straight away by creating that link anyway. That's the time we saved that, I think. We're going to call that new user.php. And of course, it's an admin function, so it's going into the admin area. Okay, so I've got our form. You'll see it's a Bootstrap 4 form, which is not what we want. We need a Server Connect form. So I'm straight away going to change that to a Server Connect form. I'm going to call that new user. And our method will be post. Save again, because I'm fanatical about saving. Okay, so I think we've probably done as much as we need to on the App Connect side of things now. So let's drop into Server Connect. Add a new action file. Let's put it in the right place. Let's try again. Add a new action file. That's better. We'll call this new user. Surprise, surprise. The steps will be create a database connection. Pick our training connection. And then we will add an insert database query. We'll call that insert user. Pick our insert options. We'll pick the users table, and in this case it's obviously picked up the fields. Can I just mention I have done the open the database connection and close again so that the Wappler can read the new database structure. So this is the latest structure it's got, and if it isn't told otherwise, it will just assume that your post variables are of the same name as your field names. Quite happy with that myself. So it's okay that. And I'm just going to link that action file. Okay, so back to the App Connect side. First thing we're going to do is make sure that those fields have actually got the names that we need. So name will be name. Second one will be called email. And our third field will be called password. Just to tidy things up, let's drop over into the DOM panel and just limit the length of some of these fields. So we've got 60 for our max length there. We've got 60 for max length there. Our password encryption is always going to create a 64 character long encryption, but let's just limit the max length to maximum of 20 characters for the password. Can't imagine many people have passwords that long or longer. Okay, we'll save that. Submit is not the word we want to see. We want to see add. So let's just name that button add. Okay, so what's next? We need to first of all get that form that we've created to submit. We need to then run our query, and we need to then do something as a result. So let's select our server action for the form itself, and that will be new user. Let's have a save there. We need to make sure that our button actually submits the form that we've got there. So let's add a dynamic event, mouse, click, and then we need to tell it to submit the form new user. No parameters for that one at all. So let's start thinking through the logic now. We're clicking the add button. It's sending the details of name, email, password over to our insert query. Our insert query runs. It then comes back to App Connect. What's going to happen there? Now we're just going to be facing a blank screen or whatever. No, we're not going to do that. Let's go to Dynamic Events, Server Connect, on success. Just leave that for the moment because I'm going to add a browser in there because we're going to do a redirect on success of that, and we're going to go to, and I'm just going to go to an existing page that we've already created back in lesson 1, if you remember that far back, university.php. Obviously being a literal, that's in quotes itself. File, save. What have we forgotten? We've forgotten one important step, haven't we? And that is, when we're inserting the password in plain text, which is not what we want. So let's go back into the insert options, password, let's click the lightning bolt, let's click the password field, add server data formatting, right click on the post password and go into cryptographic, and we're going to create a SHA-256 hash. It needs a salt. Salt's just any random string of letters, numbers or whatever, and I'm just going to call this Wappler Rocks OK dollar, because I can remember that nice and easily. Let's select that. OK, let's save. It's a links file saved. Now hopefully, following the logic through, we take our form, we add a name and an email address, password, we hit add, it runs that submit. Submit then diverts the form over to insert user. The insert user inserts the name and email in plain text, but the password as an encrypted password. It's then going to send a success message back to App Connect, who's going to go, okay then, we're fine now, we're going to go over to the university page. Let's hope it all works as smoothly as we think it should. Good old Google Autocomplete has added some of the details in. So we've got the email address, we've got a password in there. Let's hit add. Certainly everything appears to have run correctly. All we've got to do now is have a look at the form and just see, did it add things in properly? And there we are now in our user table. We've inserted Brian at Wappler Online, or Wappler Unwrapped Online, and there is our encrypted password. So that's how to create a user with a username, an email, and an encrypted password within your user table. Please join us for the next phase in the securing your website, which will be the login and logout screens. Thanks for joining me on Wappler Unwrapped, and I hope to see you again soon.